Welcome back to the Priority Wellness Podcast. I am one of your co-hosts, Kollin and today we are welcoming back Pat O'Connell.
Hello, everybody. Glad to be back. It's been too long, but I enjoyed my time away, but I also miss everybody, of course.
And we've missed you.
Yes. I miss seeing and talking to you lovely folk. Go ahead.
Seeing us.
Yes.
You miss
True.
seeing me, I think.
Yes, I think you're correct. Just don't tell anybody at Party Wellness that. So
Patty Cakes, why have you been gone so long?
So I've been gone for about, what would you say? I think I missed the August episode, September episode, and here we are doing the October episode. So a few months. Me and my wife just brought into the world our firstborn,
And
baby Clay.
He is
our son.
Beautiful.
Yes, he is. He is a good baby. He's been really good, and I think he is the typical firstborn. Good enough to trick you into having a second, third, and fourth. So my wife's already ready for baby number 2.
We'll see what cards are laid down.
Yep. Uh-oh. Don't cry. Clay's right next to me, folks. He's joining us in my studio, which is my living room. But
it's amazing that we can do this with me being 800 miles away.
Yes. Gotta love technology. Thank you, Zoom. They're not a sponsor, of course, but maybe if I plug them enough, they will be one day.
So, today, which we're releasing on October 24th, so we'll just use today. Today's our birthday.
Happy birthday, Party Wellness. Happy birthday. 1 year in the books. Can you believe that, man?
It is so exciting to see how far we've came. Came. I don't know.
Yeah. You know what? English becomes significantly more difficult when you're on Zoom, especially because we can't talk simultaneously because it's like a one-way mic. So it gets a little difficult. But yes, we've come a very long way.
And when we first started, I can remember, we were meeting every single week, sometimes even twice a week at Ottman's Juice Bar in Watertown.
And now North Country Grounds.
Yes. We became regulars. I'm still a regular of that place, of course.
But. Oh, yeah. Yes. And for those that don't know where it's located, what is it? Newell and Hoke Street?
Yeah. It's right across the street from Maggie's on the river.
Yeah. For those that are listening locally, go there. Don't ask. Just go. You'll thank me later.
And if you happen to come visit, well, this week it's called The Town, but if you come to visit Watertown, definitely check that place out. It's the North Country Grounds. Erica owns it. She's wonderful. Definitely would recommend. 10 out of 10.
Yep. Good food, good coffee. What else do you need? Wi-Fi. Boom. Write your first book.
That's right.
Yep. So, man, let's get into the nitty-gritty. It's not going to be a super long episode, but this is more of kind of a recap of the year, a year in review, if you will. So what exactly has Party Wellness done in a year? Some of you may be asking. I know some listen to the podcast and you hear a lot of like anecdotal things from people, various first responders, and you hear maybe, how to mitigate burnout and things like that. But for those that are wondering, what has Party Wellness done? So let's talk about that. So let's start from the beginning. October 24th, I think that was our first meeting at Atman's. And what did we do then, Colin? We formed the board.
Well, I wasn't at that first meeting. I came.
Oh, that's right.
2 weeks later. But the first, I guess, let's throw that question right back at you and figure out, why did 3 people meet that day, or 4 people? Was it 3 or 4? I think it was 3 of you guys.
It was 4. Yep. So me, Michael Briggs, our executive director, Josh Wilcox, one of our board members, and Julia Haltman, one of our board members. We all met, and this is something that was really spearheaded by our very own executive director, Michael Briggs. He originally, I don't know if we've even really talked about this on the podcast, the original like start of the organization, have we?
Sorry, they're doing something right outside the window.
Did you catch what I said?
I did not. I'm sorry.
No, you're okay. See, people, the luxury of Zoom and the various distractions that come with that. What I was saying is that the first time we met, it was our executive director, Michael Briggs, board member Josh Wilcox, board member Julia Haltman, and myself as the chairman. What I was saying is the original reason this all started, this is all again spearheaded by Michael Briggs. And I don't think we've actually discussed, at least on the air, what the original plan was for Priority Wellness Campaign. Am I correct by saying we haven't talked about that?
I think that's correct if you're referring to like the clothing store at one point.
Yep. So I'll go into a little bit about that. So Michael Briggs, he's a dispatcher, he's an EMT, he's an instructor for EMTs. His original idea for Priority Wellness, he actually didn't even have a name. He wanted to make an apparel line, and basically it was apparel that was geared towards breaking the stigma of mental health. Just simple graphics that, simply stating that you're not alone or talk about it, those kinds of things. And he wanted to take the revenue that he got. Obviously, a portion would go back into his business to keep doing what he's doing, but the rest of it, the large portion of it, would go to like American suicide prevention and Code Green campaign, which is a campaign that helps first responders. That's a national campaign. Hopefully, we'll get there one day. And then he pulled a shift with one of our board members, Julia Haltman, and between the day that they had and the conversation that they had and the people that they met that day, I guess an epiphany happened. And they were like, you know what? Why don't we do something here? We see a lack, we see a need. Why don't we do something here? And he kind of, from there, approached all of us, and then we all met, and bada bing, bada boom, here we are, Priority Wellness, founded October 24th, 2022.
And then right out of the gate, just within the first couple of weeks is when things just started moving on what we were going to do. So we started, first we had to get our nonprofit status, right? And
yes,
that was quite the learning process, mostly on Michael Briggs.
Yes.
And he did a marvelous job with that and got us all set up with accountants and lawyers and all of the things. And then we started talking about our peer-to-peer program, which is off the ground now, and it's doing wonderfully.
Yes. And for those that don't know, the peer-to-peer program, that's something that can be accessed through our website at pwcnny.org. So if you feel like you need to talk, we're here to listen.
And the idea behind that was to offer somebody a place that they can go to talk to with somebody that understands exactly what they're going through.
Right. So they'd be talking to, I'm a paramedic, let's say, and I reach out and I want to utilize the peer-to-peer program. I could potentially be talking to someone that's been right in my shoes, another paramedic that maybe had a similar call.
So, right after all of that happened, we kind of went on a little holiday because, as a board, we were doing all of the things. And then we just needed a break. And then after the new year, we came right back to it and started planning for a huge event that was incredibly successful for the organization. And it was a very well attended motorcycle ride that went all around Jefferson County and ended in Alex Bay with a fantastic concert put on by Kevin Davidson, which he donated his time, I believe, to come play for us.
Yes, I am extremely jealous that I was not there for that.
Oh, Pat, you missed such a great event that day.
I know.
And the support that we got from the community was just amazing.
Yeah, it was. We definitely had a lot of help. Like, shout out to Alex Bay Fire for doing the chicken barbecue portion of it and letting us use the fire department to kind of be the hub at the end of the ride. And also shout out to Julia Haltman's sister Twyla Linedacker it was really her baby, when you say. She really did a fantastic organizing this event. And she never put on a ride. She's been a part of rides, never organized an event like this. And she did fantastic.
Yes. And, we can't forget her. She did a wonderful job. And you heard it here first, folks. She wants to do it again. So, not necessarily the motorcycle ride, but she wants to do another fundraising event. So stay tuned for that.
Yes. Luckily, our organization seems to attract people that are just real gluttons for punishment. I'm just kidding. We're very fortunate to have hardworking people that surround us. Couldn't be luckier.
Absolutely. And the success of the organization just keeps going because we have our executive director Michael Briggs, and we have a grant writer Stacey Uliano, and there's a couple other folks that help them out with different grants too. And we've received several grants this year that has allowed us to keep going and keep doing more programming, more education opportunities for first responders, all of it. And it's really great to see what we've done in the last year. And there's so much more to come. Some that we can't exactly disclose at this moment, but like I said, stay tuned for everything PWC.
Yes, it feels longer than a year just because of all the working parts. But when you really take a step back and look at the entirety of the organization, the starting point, I am perplexed and just amazed by the response that we had from the community, people that just want to help out, the volunteers. Huge shout out to the volunteers. And the board. I'm literally speechless. I can't even formulate what I want to say just because I'm that grateful and amazed. So it makes it easy to kind of keep pushing forward. And again, I'm truly happy that I'm back. The dust is kind of settled with having a new baby. So now I'm ready to put the nose to the grindstone again and really get going with things.
So we've talked all about our successes. What were some things that we've learned from?
That's a good question, man. Well, I'll throw it back at you. What do you think? What do you think?
I should have known that was going to happen because I wasn't prepared for that question either. I mean, there's all of the things at the very beginning were things to learn from because we didn't know anything about anything starting a nonprofit. And like I said, we have to thank Michael for that. Of course, we learned some things as far as what we can do by ourselves and what we can rely on other people to do for us. We learned how to organize a whole event, of course, with help from volunteers. But overall, I think that this has been just an incredible on-taking by all of us. And anybody who's taken analytical view of our organization has been like, you guys are only this young and you're already this far along.
Yeah.
And we're like, yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, not to pat ourselves on the back, but I mean, everybody who's been involved has done an amazing job. Now,
Yes, they go ahead.
oh, sorry. I was just about to say, as far as our podcast is concerned, the podcast has gotten progressively better too since the beginning.
Yes. Yep. You literally stole the words right out of my mouth. Like, I don't mean to interrupt you, but even that wasn't an easy thing to get up off the ground, because we had no knowledge of production and editing. Like, thank you for doing what you do, Colin, because I simply couldn't do it. But like, even from the mixer and the various mics that we have and getting the sound right, that wasn't an easy task. That was a lot of research, and even preparing for episodes too, because we have to do a little bit of research, or not vetting, but when you bring on a guest, like, okay, what are they about, preparing questions, and kind of having a direction where you want to go. So that hasn't been easy either, but it's been fun. It's been a lot of fun. So it feels easy, but it's a lot too.
And we continue to learn from this experience as well.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And we have many more exciting episodes and topics to talk about in the coming months.
Yes. And we'll kind of dive into that like towards the end of this episode. I'll kind of give you a little sneak preview of what we will talk about.
So I had mentioned earlier that we have announced several different education opportunities for first responders. Just last week, we introduced a new program that Michael Briggs is going to be teaching, actually. It's basically how to start a peer-to-peer program. So we've gotten reach out and feedback from people outside of the area that we're not even necessarily serving. And he's going to teach those classes, and it's just going to be a further extension of PWC. And I really can't wait to see what the next year is going to bring.
Oh my God. Yeah. Like, if we accomplish this much in a year, think about what the next year will bring. That, and we're a little bit more confident, a little bit more understanding, and have a little bit more knowledge about how to run these types of organizations. So it's exciting. It's very exciting. Okay. So also, I want to mention, we did do a survey that I believe Michael Briggs put together, correct?
Yeah, well, I think that he did the vast majority of it, but there was a collective effort on that, not by me, but by the board, I think, and by some. I think that there was outsider point of views too. That was interesting.
Yes, and I'll hit that too. So I just kind of wanted to throw out. So basically, the survey was a mental health survey. It was a very basic, only about like 20 something questions. Takes about 5 minutes. So when it was released, we were kind of sharing it with our friends, our peers, and colleagues, because we wanted to know what kind of demographic are we working with here? How many people are in fire? How many people are in EMS, dispatching, law enforcement? Also, we want to know, do they have outlets, to benefit their mental health? Does their agencies have programs in place that, are there for their mental health? So that's kind of what we sought out to do with the survey, was to kind of get a more of a grasp on what we're dealing with in the area that we're trying to serve. So, and we had some outliers too. We had some outliers for sure. Also, before I get into the survey is open until 10/31 at 23:59 or 11:59 at night. That's when it closes. So please, if you're listening to this, please go take the survey. It's quick. You can do it while you're coming back from a trip, or you're sitting at the fire desk, or you're in your patrol car, whatever. Just take it real quick. Helps us out a lot, and it kind of will narrow down where we need to focus our attention. Okay, without further ado, so looking at the data, man, I feel so smart saying that. No, looking at the data, yes. So so we got some data, and it's all pie graphs, which I really like. It's colorful and it's easy to read for me. So for we had quite a bit of a turnout for the survey. A large portion of the people that did the survey, they were EMS. So 43% were EMS, 39% were fire. So they're the next biggest chunk of the pie there. And then law enforcement is 12%. And you have dispatch and instructor and emergency management, they were a much smaller percent. And for another question that we had, are you a career first responder? And it was split right down the middle, 50-50. That's kind of what's the word I'm looking for? Not significant. It's I don't know what the word I'm looking for, but that's very typical of our area. We're in a rural area up here in northern New York. So 54% yes, their career, and 46 no. So just doing it volley status. That's a pretty big deal. And same thing with, which is weird, because are you a career first responder? Yes. It was split between yes and no. And then do you volunteer as a first responder? 78% said yes. So maybe they work other jobs and volunteer. And then 22% said no. I want to skip over a few here. So this one I wanted to point out. Are you no longer an active first responder because of mental health issues? 50-50. Yes, 50%. No, 50%. So I think that's an issue.
But, that was a question that a lot of people failed to answer too.
True. Yes. We only had, out of all the people that participated in the survey, it was a total of 4 people that answered that question. So maybe they are not quite comfortable sharing that part of, their mental health.
That is, I think that is significant within itself, because that's really what we set out to do, is to end the stigma around mental health.
Yes, I agree. What else do I want to talk about here in this lovely data that I have? Okay, yes. Have you personally experienced symptoms of stress, anxiety, or depression related to your work as a first responder? 86% yes, 14% no. I honestly, if you haven't had any stress or anxiety after being a first responder, you need to be my friend, because I need to know your secrets.
Yeah.
Because it's hard not to let it in. But for those that are good at compartmentalizing, or good at letting out the toxic stuff, good on you. But this pie chart alone shows us, at least as Party Wellness, that there's a need. Also, the very next question: have you sought professional help or counseling for these issues? 67% no, 33% yes. Again, I think maybe a little bit of that stigma still there. Mm-hmm. Whether people would admit that or not, I'm not sure. But again, all good data for our organization to have to re-engage and kind of focus on our first responders. I mean, not that we aren't already, but to kind of maybe push the counseling in this area.
And this information also makes me realize, just self-reflecting on our podcast, as far as a program of PWC, we, and it's just inevitable because of who we are. like we mainly focus on EMS, unfortunately. So I think that we do need to do a better job for our friends in fire and law enforcement and out at dispatch.
Yes,
As
and
far as
we'll get there. We'll get there
issues
too.
on
It's
top.
just, I just think the majority of us are in EMS. We do have some fire people that sit on the board, and dispatchers, but just like with anything, we'll get better in time. And obviously, we want to be there for every aspect of the first responding world.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, just a few more on the pie chart. I know data can be boring, but I'm just geeking out right now. So one of the questions: what barriers, if any, prevent you from seeking mental health support or counseling when needed? And I'll just give you the two that were the largest percentage. It was 23% was lack of time, and 18% was fear of stigma. And there's smaller portions of the pie that kind of cut out, but those are the biggest. So fear of stigma and lack of time. Let's see here. There's my dog. So if you're a PWC podcast listener, you'll remember from the first episode, my dog crying in the background. So starring Moose. So there we go. We're good now. Okay. So yeah, I just wanted to talk about the survey a little bit. Again, it's open till Halloween at 11:59 at night. So please, if you haven't done it, please fill it out. Helps us loads, as it already has. Okay. So yeah, that's kind of a year in review. I do want to talk about the next episode that we're going to have. Well, it'll be a December episode. Am I correct, Colin?
Well, it really just depends on how we record things. So we shall see when it will come out.
Okay. Regardless, the next episode, I know we've done a lot of anecdotal things, and we've talked with many people, but now we want to get to the point where we're arming you for success. We want to give you the tools and resources that you actually could use day to day. So the next episode, we want to talk about eliminating negative self-talk. That's a big thing, especially if you've been in EMS. I know a lot of people that, don't talk very well about their own selves, and just overall have negative outlook on things. So we'll give you some resources and ways to mitigate that. And then also I want to talk about the power of affirmations. I know in my case and in Colin's case, we use affirmations, and it's made a huge difference in my life. It sounds silly. I don't know if you know anything about affirmations, but after listening to the next episode, you will know plenty. So that's what we're going to talk about on the next episode. So stay tuned for that. Colin, do you have anything that you want to add before we call it a day?
No, I mean, I'll add to the affirmation piece. I just want to put this out there that it's not about ego. It's more for your own positive mental health. So we will take a deep dive into that within the coming months. But, Patty Cakes, it was great getting with you today. And even though I am miles and miles and miles away, it's wonderful to see your face over the airwaves.
Yes. It's so good to be back. Do me a huge favor, soak up all the sun you can in North Carolina. It's starting to get cold here in northern New York. We're just about to be in stick season. So, enjoy your time. Can't wait to have you back. And we'll get going on the next episode shortly.
And as always here at Priority Wellness Campaign, we are here for the mental health of first responders and everybody. Thank you.
Have a good night or day or morning.